The Defiance shook as explosions lit up space around Earth. Commander Taemin Park held onto his captain's chair as his ship's own weapons tried to kill him. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. The lights flickered on and off. "Emergency power," he shouted over the noise. "Cut all connections to the Vorthak weapon systems." Engineer Byung-ho Nam's voice came through the communication system from the engine room. "I'm trying, sir. The Vorthak technology is built into everything now. I can't separate it without destroying our main systems." Through the viewing window, Taemin watched human ships explode one by one. The Courage, Hope, Victory. Ships that had fought for 15 years against the Hegemony Coalition were now being destroyed by their own upgraded weapons. Lieutenant Sang-mi Ko worked desperately at her station. "Sir, I'm getting emergency signals from all over the system. Luna Base is under attack. Mars Colony is being bombed. The orbital defense platforms around Earth are firing at the planet." Admiral Hee-jin Choi's face appeared on the communication screen. She was on the bridge of her flagship, the Humanity's Last Stand. Blood ran down her forehead from a head wound. "All ships that can still move, retreat to emergency jump points," she ordered. "This is not a battle we can win. We need to save whoever we can." "Admiral, what about Earth?" Taemin asked. Hee-jin's expression was full of pain. "Earth is lost, Commander. The orbital defenses are destroying every city. We have maybe 6 hours before the planet is uninhabitable." Dr. So-ra Kim ran onto the Bridge of Defiance. Her white lab coat was torn and dirty. "Commander, I've been studying the attack pattern. The Vorthak aren't trying to kill everyone immediately. They're being selective." "Oh, what do you mean?" Taemin asked. "They're destroying military targets and large cities, but leaving some smaller settlements alone. And look at this," she showed him a data pad. "The Vorthak ships are scanning every human they encounter. They're selecting people. Selecting for what? I think they're choosing which humans to keep alive. Vexthul said we would make excellent specimens." Captain Woo Jin Lee's voice crackled over the communication system. "Commander, this is Lee. My fighter squadron is trying to reach the civilian evacuation ships, but Vorthak fighters are everywhere. We're losing badly." "How many evacuation ships got away?" Taemin asked. "Maybe 20 out of 200. Most were destroyed before they could jump to light speed." Medic Ji Woo-han entered the bridge carrying a wounded crewman. "Sir, we're getting reports from all over Earth. The major cities are gone. New York, London, Tokyo, Seoul, they're all burning. But some smaller towns are being spared. Vorthak ground troops are landing there and taking people prisoner, not killing them." Taemin felt sick. The Vorthak weren't just conquering humanity. They were harvesting them. "How many people lived on Earth?" he asked So-ra. 8 billion, she replied quietly. "And how many do you think they'll keep?" So-ra looked at her data. "Based on their selection patterns? Maybe a few million. Enough for genetic diversity, but small enough to control easily." The ship's communication system came alive with emergency messages from across the galaxy. Lieutenant Sang-mi Ko listened with growing horror. "Sir, it's not just Earth. The Vorthak are attacking every human colony at the same time. New Terra, Harmony, New Sol, the mining stations in the asteroid belt. They're all under attack. Simultaneous attacks across the galaxy," Dr. So-ra Kim said. "This took years of planning. They knew exactly where every human settlement was located. Because we told them," Taemin said bitterly. "Every time we shared military information with them, every time we showed them our star charts, we were giving them targets." Admiral Hee-jin Choi's voice came over the communication system again. "All surviving ships, this is Choi. We're implementing Emergency Protocol 7. Split up into small groups. Find hidden places to hide. Asteroid fields, dead systems, anywhere the Vorthak won't look. We'll regroup when we can." "Admiral, how many ships do we have left?" Taemin asked. There was a long pause. 37, Commander. Out of 300. The bridge went silent. In one day, humanity had gone from having a chance to win the war to being nearly extinct. "What about the Hegemony Coalition?" Woo Jin Lee asked over the communication system. "Are they being attacked too?" Sang-mi Ko checked her sensors. "Negative, Captain. Hegemony ships are working with the Vorthak now. They're helping with the attacks. They were always working together," So-ra said. "The whole war was fake. The Vorthak controlled both sides from the beginning." Engineer Byung-ho Nam's voice came from the engine room. "Commander, I've managed to disconnect most of the Vorthak systems. We have basic weapons and engines, but we're running on backup power. We need to find somewhere to hide and make repairs." Taemin looked around his bridge crew. These people had followed him through 15 years of war. Now they were among the last humans alive with any chance of fighting back. Set course for the Kepler belt, he ordered. There are asteroid fields there where we can hide the ship. Sir, that's 6 days away, Sangmiko said. We don't have enough fuel. Then we'll drift part of the way, power down everything except life support. As Defiance left Earth's solar system, Taemin took one last look at his home world. The blue planet was now covered in clouds of smoke and fire. The orbital defense platforms built to protect Earth were still firing at the surface. Dr. Sora Kim stood next to him at the viewing window. Commander, I found something else in the Vorthak data files. What? Records of other species. 17 different alien races that went through the same thing we just did. The Vorthak would find 2 species that were enemies, give them weapons, let them weaken each other in war, then harvest the survivors. What happened to those other species? According to the files, they're kept in something called preservation worlds. The Vorthak keep small populations alive to study them and learn from them. But the rest of each species was eliminated. Taemin closed his eyes. How many humans do you think escaped? Maybe a few thousand scattered across dozens of hidden ships. Not enough to rebuild our civilization, but enough to remember what the Vorthak did to us. 3 days later, Defiance drifted silently through the Kepler belt. The ship's power was almost gone. The crew was on emergency rations, but they were alive and hidden among the asteroids. Byung-ho Nam floated in zero gravity near the ship's communication array, making repairs. Commander, I've got the long-range communication system working again. Good. Send out coded messages to any other surviving ships. Use the old military codes from before we met the Vorthak. Over the next few hours, messages came back. Other human ships were alive and hiding throughout the galaxy. Captain Woo Jin Lee had survived and was leading a small group of fighters. Some civilian ships had escaped. A few military vessels were still operational, but the total count was devastating. Less than 5,000 humans were left alive and free in the entire galaxy. That night, as Defiance continued drifting through the asteroid field, Taemin called a meeting with his senior officers. We need to face the truth, he told them. Humanity as we knew it is gone. Earth is destroyed. Our colonies are captured or eliminated. We're down to maybe 50 ships total. So what do we do? Captain Woo Jin Lee asked. His image appeared on the communication screen from his hidden fighter base on a dead moon. We survive, Admiral Haijin Choi said. Her ship was hiding in the outer system of an abandoned star. We learn, and we prepare. Prepare for what? Medic Ji Woo Han asked. Dr. Sora Kim answered. The Vorthak made one mistake. They let some of us live. They think we're broken and defeated. They think a few thousand humans hiding in asteroids and dead systems can't hurt them. Can we? Woo Jin asked. Taemin looked at the faces on his screen. These people had lost everything. Their families, their homes, their entire civilization. But he could see something in their eyes that the Vorthak had missed. Humans didn't give up. The Vorthak have been doing this for a long time, he said. 17 other species before us. They have a system. They think they understand how conquered people behave. But they don't understand humans, Sora added. No, Taemin agreed. They don't understand that humans learn from their mistakes. They don't understand that we adapt. And they don't understand that we never forget. Lieutenant Sang Mi-ko was monitoring Vorthak communications. Sir, I'm intercepting their messages. They're talking about expanding their collection operations to other galaxies. This isn't just about our galaxy. They're planning to do this everywhere. The group was quiet for a moment, thinking about billions of other worlds facing the same fate as Earth. Then we have work to do, Admiral Haijin Choi said finally. The Vorthak think they've won. They think we're finished. Let them think that while we figure out how to make them pay for what they did. How long do we have? Taemin asked. Sora checked her data. Based on their past operations, the Vorthak will spend about 3 months securing their new territory and processing their specimens. After that, they'll move on to the next galaxy. 3 months to get ready, Taemin said. 3 months to learn everything we can about them. 3 months to figure out how to hurt them. Is that enough time? Woo Jin asked. Taemin looked out at the asteroids surrounding his ship. Somewhere out there, the Vorthak were celebrating their victory. They thought humanity was finished. Commander Taemin Park stood on the bridge of the Earth warship Defiance, watching the stars through the large viewing window. His dark eyes showed the weight of 15 long years of war. The Hegemony Coalition had pushed humanity to the edge of defeat. Earth's colonies were gone. Most of the human fleet was destroyed. Only a few hundred ships remained to defend humanity's home world. "Sir, we're getting a message," said Lieutenant Sangmi Ko from her communication station. Her voice was tired, like everyone else on the bridge. "It's not from the Hegemony." Taemin turned around quickly. "What do you mean?" "Unknown ship approaching, sir. They're asking to talk." Admiral Hee-jin Choi walked onto the bridge at that moment. She was the highest-ranking officer left in Earth's military. Her gray hair was pulled back tight and her face showed years of hard decisions. "Report," she said. "Unknown contact, Admiral. They want to communicate," Sangmi said. Hee-jin looked at Taemin. "Put them on screen." The main display flickered. A strange face appeared. It was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. The creature wore what looked like military clothing, but the design was unlike anything humans had seen. "Greetings, people of Earth," the alien said. Its voice was smooth and calm. "I am High Commander Vexthal of the Vorthak Empire. We have been watching your war against the Hegemony Coalition." Taemin stepped forward. "What do you want?" "To help you," Vexthal replied. "The Hegemony Coalition is our enemy too. We offer an alliance." The bridge went quiet. Admiral Hee-jin stared at the screen. After 15 years of fighting alone, help seemed impossible. "Why would you help us?" Hee-jin asked. "Because the enemy of our enemy can be our friend," Vexthal said. "We have weapons and ships. You have courage and knowledge of hegemony tactics. Together we can win this war." Dr. Sora Kim walked onto the bridge. She was Earth's best expert on alien life forms. She had been studying the Hegemony Coalition for years, trying to find weaknesses. "Admiral, may I speak?" Sora asked. Hee-jin nodded. "High Commander, what do you want in return for this help?" Sora asked the Vorthak. "Nothing more than friendship between our peoples after the war is won," Vexthal said. "We seek no territory in your space. We only want the Hegemony Coalition defeated." Captain Woojin Lee, Taemin's best friend and most trusted pilot, whispered, "It sounds too good to be true." Taemin nodded slightly. He had the same feeling. But Earth was dying. The Hegemony Coalition would attack in 2 weeks. This might be humanity's last chance. "Show us what you can offer," Admiral Hee-jin said. "Of course." Vexthal smiled, showing sharp white teeth. "We are sending weapon designs and ship upgrades to your scientists now. You will see that Vorthak technology is very advanced." The communication ended. The bridge crew looked at each other with mixed feelings. Hope and doubt filled the air. 3 days later, Dr. Sora Kim stood in Earth's main research facility. Vorthak weapon designs covered the walls on digital displays. The technology was amazing. Energy weapons that could cut through hegemony shields. Ship engines that were twice as fast as anything humans had built. "This is incredible," said engineer Byung-ho Nam, looking at the designs. "These weapons could change everything." Sora nodded, but something bothered her. "The energy patterns are strange," she said. "I've never seen anything like this." "Strange how?" Byung-ho asked. "Look at these power cores." Sora pointed to a diagram. "The energy doesn't just flow out. It flows back in too. Why would a weapon need to receive energy from the target?" Byung-ho looked closer. "Maybe it's some kind of feedback system. To make the weapon more powerful?" "Maybe," Sora said, but she didn't sound sure. Meanwhile, Captain Woojin Lee was in space, testing a fighter ship with new Vorthak upgrades. The ship moved like nothing he had ever flown before. It was fast and smooth. The weapons were powerful beyond belief. "Control, this is amazing," he said into his communication system. "I can outrun anything the Hegemony has." "Good to hear, Captain," came the reply from the flight control center. "How do the weapons feel?" Woojin aimed at a target asteroid and fired. The Vorthak energy weapon hit the rock and turned it into dust in seconds. "Weapons are perfect," he reported, "but there's something odd. The weapon seems to scan the target before firing."
"Is that normal?"
"We're not sure, Captain. The Vorthak say it helps with accuracy." Woojin flew back to Earth feeling excited but confused. The weapons were too good. The technology was too advanced. Why would the Vorthak share all of this so freely? Back on Earth, Commander Taemin Park met with Admiral Hee-jin Choi in her office. "The first batch of upgraded ships will be ready in 1 week, Taemin reported. "The men are excited. For the first time in years, they think we might actually win." "And you? What do you think?" Hee-jin asked. Taemin was quiet for a moment. "I think we should be careful. The Vorthak are giving us everything we need to win. But what if they're not telling us everything? Dr. Kim has the same concerns, Hyejin said. She's been studying their technology. She says there are things about it that don't make sense. What kind of things? The weapons seem designed to do more than just destroy targets. They collect information too. Energy signatures, ship designs, crew numbers. Why would weapons need that data? Taemin felt cold. You think they're studying us? I think we need to be ready for anything, Hyejin said. 1 week later, the Hegemony Coalition attacked Earth with their largest fleet ever. 2,000 warships appeared at the edge of the solar system. Humanity had only 300 ships to defend their homeworld, but now those ships had Vorthak weapons. All ships, this is Admiral Choi. Hyejin's voice came over the communication system. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for the survival of humanity. Show them what humans can do. The battle began. Human ships, now equipped with Vorthak technology, tore through hegemony lines like they were made of paper. The energy weapons cut through enemy shields easily. The upgraded engines let human pilots dance around enemy fire. Commander Taemin Park watched from the Bridge of Defiance as his fleet destroyed hegemony ships one after another. Sir, we're winning, Lieutenant Sang-mi Ko said with amazement in her voice. I can't believe it, Captain Woo Jin Lee said over the communication system from his fighter. We're actually pushing them back. For 6 hours the battle raged. The Hegemony Coalition, who had been winning the war for 15 years, found themselves losing badly. Their ships were no match for Vorthak-enhanced human vessels. Dr. Sora Kim was in the research center, watching the battle data come in. The Vorthak weapons were working perfectly. Too perfectly. Byung-ho, she called to the engineer. Look at these energy readings. Why, what about them? Every time our weapons hit an enemy ship, they send data back to our computers. But look where else the data is going. Byung-ho studied the display. His face went pale. It's also being sent to the Vorthak ships. Exactly. They're not just helping us win. They're learning everything about how we fight, how the enemy fights, and how their own weapons work against both of us. The Hegemony Coalition began to retreat. Their admiral sent a message to Admiral Hyejin Choi. Human commander, we surrender. Your new weapons are too powerful. We ask for mercy. Hyejin looked at Taemin. After 15 years of war, victory was finally in reach. Tell them we accept their surrender, she said. But as the last hegemony ships prepared to jump away to safety, something went wrong. The Vorthak weapons on human ships suddenly stopped working. Then they turned around and began firing at the human ships that carried them. Commander Taemin Park watched in horror as his own weapons destroyed the ship next to him. All around the battlefield, human vessels exploded as their Vorthak weapons turned against them. What's happening? Sang-mi Ko shouted. On the main screen, High Commander Vexthul appeared again, but this time he was not alone. Behind him stood other Vorthak officers, and behind them, Taemin could see Hegemony Coalition commanders. Thank you, humans, Vexthul said with his sharp smile. You have given us exactly what we needed. Data on both human and hegemony military capabilities. Your war has made both of your species weak. Now we will finish what you started. The terrible truth hit Taemin like a physical blow. The war between humans and the Hegemony Coalition had never been real. The Vorthak had been controlling both sides, making them fight each other while the Vorthak studied and prepared. You used us, Admiral Hyejin Choi said. Of course, Vexthul replied. It is what we do. We find species with potential, make them fight each other, then collect the survivors for our collections. You should be honored. Humans will make excellent specimens. Around Earth, 90% of the human fleet died in the first 10 minutes as their own weapons destroyed them. The Vorthak had been planning this moment for 15 years. 5 years had passed since the Vorthak betrayal. Hidden deep inside a hollowed-out asteroid in the Kepler belt, Commander Taemin Park looked older than his 45 years. His hair was now gray at the temples and lines marked his face. But his eyes still burned with the same determination that had kept him alive when Earth fell. The asteroid base was humanity's largest remaining settlement. 3,000 people lived in the tunnels and chambers carved from rock. It was home to soldiers, scientists, engineers, and the few civilian families who had escaped the massacre. General Yoon wants to see you in the command center, said Captain Woo Jin Lee, entering Taemin's small quarters. Woo Jin had been promoted to head of fighter operations. His face bore scars from a crash landing 2 years ago. General Dong Hyun-yoon had taken command of all human resistance forces after Admiral Hye-jin Choi died in a Vorthak patrol attack 3 years earlier. He was a hard man who had lost his wife and children when Seoul burned. Taemin walked through the narrow corridors of the base. People nodded to him as he passed. Children who had never seen Earth played in the recreation areas. These kids had grown up knowing only that the Vorthak were the enemy, and that humanity was hiding. The command center was built in the asteroid's center. Screens showed star maps, Vorthak ship movements, and intelligence reports from across the galaxy. "Taemin, good timing," General Yoon said without looking up from a tactical display. "We just received a message from Spymaster Jinsu Ro. His network has found something important." Dr. Yuri Bei was also in the command center. She had taken over xenobiology research after Dr. Sora Kim died in a lab accident the previous year. Yuri was brilliant and angry. The Vorthak had killed her entire family on Mars. "What did Jinsu find?" Taemin asked. "Show him," Yoon told Yuri. Yuri activated a hologram projector. The image of a Vorthak research facility appeared in the air. "This is Research Station Omega-7 located in the Arcturus system. Our spies managed to infiltrate it last month." "How?" Taemin asked. Human spies getting into Vorthak facilities seemed impossible. "Biotech suits," Yuri explained. "We reverse-engineered Vorthak genetic samples and created artificial skin that can fool their scanners. Our agents can look like Vorthak soldiers for short periods." The hologram changed to show the inside of the facility. Taemin saw laboratories filled with alien technology and computer systems. "What were they researching?" he asked. "Humans," Yuri said.
"Specifically, they were trying to understand why we've been so hard to eliminate completely." General Yoon stepped forward.
"The Vorthak have never had a species resist them for this long. Usually conquered races give up within the first year. But we've been fighting back for 5 years and getting stronger. It's made them nervous," Yuri added. "According to the files our spies copied, the Vorthak High Command is worried that we might inspire other conquered species to rebel." The hologram showed rows of specimen tanks containing biological samples. Taemin felt sick seeing human tissue being studied like laboratory animals. "There's more," Yuri continued. "The research station wasn't just studying humans. It contained samples and data from all 17 species the Vorthak have conquered, including several that are supposed to be extinct." "What do you mean?" Taemin asked. "The Vorthak lied about wiping out the other species completely. Small populations of each race are still alive, kept in hidden facilities for research purposes. The Vorthak have been experimenting on them for decades." General Yoon's expression was grim. "Which means we're not the only ones who want revenge against the Vorthak." Over the next few weeks, the human resistance worked to contact these other surviving species. It was dangerous work. Commander Eun-ji Song led the Ghost Fleet, modified human ships with advanced stealth technology that could move through Vorthak space undetected. Yoon-ji was a master of guerrilla warfare. She had spent the last 5 years learning every weakness in Vorthak patrol patterns and defense systems. "Contact established with the Zephyr survivors," she reported during a staff meeting. 47 individuals held on Research Station Beta 3. "What about the others?" General Yoon asked. "The Crystalline Collective has 62 survivors on various stations. The Nebula Walkers have 38. In total, we found survivors from 12 of the 17 conquered species." Dr. Yuri Bei had been working with these alien contacts. "They're all willing to cooperate," she said. "But most of them have lost hope. They've been prisoners for so long. They barely remember what freedom feels like. Can we trust them?" Taemin asked. "The enemy of our enemy," Spymaster Jinsu Ro said, entering the meeting room. He had just returned from a dangerous mission deep in Vorthak space. "These species have even more reason to hate the Vorthak than we do." Jinsu's spy network had grown to cover dozens of systems. Human agents disguised with biotech suits had infiltrated Vorthak facilities across the galaxy. "What else did you learn?" General Yoon asked. "The Vorthak are preparing for their next expansion," Jinsu said. "They're building a massive fleet to attack the Andromeda Galaxy. The operation will begin in 2 years." The room went quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. Once the Vorthak moved to another galaxy, they would leave only small garrison forces behind. Most of their fleet would be gone for decades. "That's our chance," Taemin said. "Agreed," General Yoon nodded. "But we need to be ready. 2 years to prepare for the biggest operation in human history." Dr. Yuri Bay had been developing new weapons based on captured Vorthak technology. Unlike the trap weapons the Vorthak had given them during the fake alliance, these were built entirely by humans. Our new energy weapons are ready for field testing, she reported. They're not as powerful as Vorthak weapons, but they work completely independently. No risk of remote shutdown. What about our stealth technology? Commander Yunji Song asked. Better than anything the Vorthak have, Yuri smiled. We've been studying their sensor systems for 5 years. Our ships can get within a few hundred meters of Vorthak vessels without being detected. The human resistance had also developed new psychological warfare tactics. They had studied Vorthak behavior and found their greatest weakness: arrogance. The Vorthak believe they're superior to every other species in the galaxy, Jinsu explained. They've never faced an enemy that could match their technology or outsmart their tactics. Their whole military doctrine is based on overwhelming technological advantage. So what happens when that advantage is taken away? Taemin asked. They panic, Jinsu said. Our field tests show that Vorthak soldiers become confused and make poor decisions when facing unexpected threats. General Yoon looked around the room at his senior staff. These people had survived the worst disaster in human history and spent 5 years preparing for revenge. Status report on our forces, he ordered. Commander Yoonji Song consulted her datapad. The Ghost Fleet has grown to 120 ships, all equipped with stealth technology and operated by experienced pilots. We can strike anywhere in Vorthak space and disappear before they can respond. Ground forces? Yoon asked. 800 special operations soldiers trained in Vorthak facility infiltration, reported Colonel Sun-hee Park, the Resistance's military training commander. Each one can pass for a Vorthak soldier using our biotech suits. Intelligence network? Spy Master Jinsu Ro smiled. We have agents in 43 Vorthak facilities across the galaxy. They're feeding us real-time information on ship movements, research projects, and military planning. Total population? 4,837 humans still alive, Dr. Yuri Bai said quietly. Including children born since the fall. The number was sobering. Less than 5,000 humans remained free in the entire galaxy. But those 5,000 had spent 5 years learning, planning, and preparing. What about our alien allies? General Yoon asked. Contact has been established with survivor groups from 12 species, Jinsu reported. Total combined population is around 3,000 individuals. They're willing to fight, but most need equipment and training. We'll provide both, Yoon decided. Operation Ghost Strike begins in 18 months. We'll have 6 months to coordinate with our allies and position our forces. Taemin looked at the star chart displayed on the wall. Red dots marked Vorthak military bases and research facilities. There were hundreds of them across the galaxy. Sir, what's our primary objective? He asked. General Yoon's eyes were cold. The Vorthak spent 5 years believing they had eliminated humanity as a threat. They've grown comfortable, confident that we're too weak and too few to matter. He pointed at the largest red dot on the star chart. It marked the Vorthak capital world. We're going to teach them that humans learn from their mistakes. We adapt, we survive. And we never ever forgive deception. What about the human prisoners on the preservation worlds? Dr. Yuri asked. We'll free every human we can find, Yoon promised. But our main goal is to make sure the Vorthak never do this to another species again. Commander Yoonji Song studied the battle plans. Sir, even with our allies, we're still heavily outnumbered. The Vorthak have thousands of ships. Numbers don't matter, General Yoon said. The Vorthak have never fought an enemy that understood them completely. They've never faced opponents who knew their weaknesses, their tactics, and their technology. The Vorthak patrol ship Dominance cruised through the Kepler belt on its regular route. Captain Zultar felt bored as he watched the asteroid field through his ship's sensors. Nothing ever happened in this dead system. For 5 years, patrols had found nothing but empty rock and ice. Contact on sensors, his tactical officer reported. Small metallic object bearing 27 Mark IV. Probably space debris from the old human war, Zultar said without interest. Ignore it. The tactical officer nodded and returned to his duties. Neither of them noticed that the debris had just transmitted a coded signal to 17 other hidden objects throughout the asteroid field. 50 kilometers away, Admiral Kang Min-soo watched the Vorthak ship from the bridge of his stealth vessel Vengeance. The ship was invisible to Vorthak sensors, wrapped in technology that had taken 5 years to perfect. Target acquired, he said quietly into his communication system. All Ghost Fleet units prepare to engage. Around him, the bridge crew worked in silence. These were humans who had lost everything at Earth and spent years learning to fight like shadows. They moved with deadly precision. Dr. Yunwu Zhang stood near the weapons console, monitoring his new energy weapons. Unlike the trap weapons the Vorthak had given them years ago, these were built entirely from human engineering. They were designed for one purpose: killing Vorthak ships. Weapons charged and ready, he reported. Admiral Su looked at the Vorthak patrol ship on his display. For 5 years, ships like this one had hunted human survivors. They had destroyed refugee vessels and executed prisoners. Now the hunt was about to change direction. Fire, he ordered. The Vengeance and 17 other human ships appeared from nowhere, their stealth fields dropping as they opened fire. The Vorthak patrol ship never had a chance to send a distress call. It was destroyed in seconds, cut apart by energy beams and explosions. Target eliminated, reported Captain Mi-young Lim from her fighter squadron. No survivors. Good, Admiral Su said. Mark that location and move to the next target. Remember, we leave no evidence. This was the new human way of war. Strike without warning. Destroy completely. Disappear before anyone could respond. Over the past 6 months, the Ghost Fleet had destroyed 47 Vorthak patrol ships and supply convoys, without being detected once. Meanwhile, in the Arcturus system, strategist Chang Su-o led a special operations team deep inside a Vorthak research facility. They wore biotech suits that made them look like Vorthak soldiers. In their false identification, codes were perfect copies of real Vorthak military records. Security checkpoint ahead, whispered Colonel Sun-hee Park through the team's communication system. Chang-su approached the Vorthak guards with confidence. His artificial skin and voice modulator made him appear to be a Vorthak intelligence officer. Inspection team, he told the guards in perfect Vorthak language. Priority 7 clearance. The guards checked his identification and waved the team through. They had no idea that 5 humans in disguise had just walked past them. The team made their way to the facility's main computer core. Chang-su's mission was to steal information about Vorthak military deployments and research projects. But they found something even more valuable. Look at this, Sun-hee whispered, pointing at a computer display. Prisoner transport schedules. The screen showed a list of specimen transfer operations. Human prisoners were being moved between research facilities across the galaxy. Thousands of them. Copy everything, Chang-su ordered, and plant the virus. Dr. Hyunwoo Jang had created a computer virus specifically designed to attack Vorthak systems. It would hide in their computers for weeks, then activate and destroy critical data files. 20 minutes later, the team was walking out of the facility with terabytes of stolen information. The guards never suspected anything. Back at the human base in the Kepler belt, General Dong Hyun-yoon studied the intelligence reports coming in from operations across the galaxy. 47 Vorthak ships destroyed in the last 6 months, he read from Admiral Su's report. No human casualties. No detection. The infiltration teams have successfully planted viruses in 63 Vorthak computer systems, added Spy Master Jin-Soo Ro. When we activate them, their entire communication network will go down. Commander Taemin Park reviewed the tactical situation on a holographic star map. Red dots marked Vorthak bases and ships. Blue dots showed human forces. Green dots represented their alien allies. What's the status of our alliance with the other survivor species? He asked. Better than expected, Jin-Soo replied. The crystalline collective survivors have provided us with shield technology. The Nebula Walker remnants gave us their navigation computers. Even the few remaining Hegemony Coalition members who weren't working with the Vorthak have joined us. Wait, Taemin said, surprised. There are Hegemony Coalition survivors who weren't traitors? About 200 individuals who refused to cooperate when the Vorthak revealed the truth. They've been prisoners for 5 years, used for experiments. They hate the Vorthak as much as we do. General Yoon looked pleased. How many allied forces do we have total? 4,000 humans, plus about 1,500 individuals from other species. All trained and equipped with our stealth technology. Ship count? 160 stealth vessels of various sizes, plus the supply ships and mobile bases. It was still a small force compared to the Vorthak Empire's massive fleet. But Taemin knew that numbers weren't everything. The Vorthak had never fought an enemy that understood them so completely. What about the Vorthak fleet movements? Yoon asked. Admiral Su brought up new intelligence reports. 70% of their military forces are being moved to staging areas near the galaxy's edge. They're definitely preparing for the Andromeda invasion. When do they leave? According to our spies, the main fleet departs in 3 months. General Yoon smiled grimly. Perfect. We'll let them go. Once most of their forces are committed to the Andromeda operation, we strike the targets they leave behind. Dr. Hyun-Woo Jang had been working on new weapons designed specifically to exploit Vorthak weaknesses. Sir, I've completed the nanite warheads. Explain, Yoon ordered. Microscopic machines that can eat through Vorthak ship hulls from the inside. Once they're introduced into a ship's atmosphere, they multiply and consume the vessel's structure within hours. How do we deploy them? Our infiltration teams can plant them in Vorthak ships during routine maintenance. By the time the nanites activate, our people will be long gone. Timon studied the weapon specifications. This is essentially a ship-killing plague. Exactly, Hyunwoo nodded. And it only affects Vorthak technology. Human and allied ships are completely immune. Captain Mi-young Lim entered the command center with news from her Special Operations Forces. Sir, we've successfully infiltrated 12 Vorthak supply depots. The nanite warheads are in place. Good work, Captain. What about the research facilities holding human prisoners? We've identified 43 facilities containing human specimens. Total prisoner count is approximately 8,000 individuals. The room went quiet. 8,000 humans were still alive in Vorthak hands, being used for experiments and research. We get them all out, General Yoon said firmly. Every single one. Sir, rescuing prisoners from 43 locations simultaneously will require most of our forces, Admiral Su pointed out. Then that's what we use, Yoon replied. No human gets left behind. Spy Master Jinsu Ro had been monitoring Vorthak communications. General, there's something else. The Vorthak High Command is getting suspicious about the patrol ship losses. How suspicious? They're starting to investigate. But they still think it might be space pirates or equipment failures. They haven't considered that humans could be responsible. Why not? Dr. Hyun-Woo Jang answered. Because we've been very careful to make it look like accidents or random attacks. The Vorthak believe humans are too primitive and too few to pose a real threat. Their arrogance is our greatest weapon, Chang Su-oh added. They can't imagine that the species they defeated could become dangerous to them. General Yoon looked around the command center at his staff. These people had survived the worst betrayal in galactic history and turned it into strength. Final preparations begin now, he announced. In 3 months, when the Vorthak fleet leaves for Andromeda, we show them what humanity has learned. What's our primary target? Admiral Su asked. Yoon pointed at the largest red dot on the star map. The Vorthak homeworld. While their fleet is away conquering another galaxy, we're going to destroy their capital. Sir, that's the most heavily defended world in the galaxy, Captain Mi-young Lim said. It will be after we eliminate their outer defenses, Yoon replied. We start with the research stations, the supply depots, and the patrol bases. We free every human prisoner we can find. We destroy every ship that didn't go to Andromeda. And then, Taman asked, then we make the Vorthak choose. They can return from Andromeda to find their empire in ruins, or they can stay and abandon their homeworld to us. What if they choose to come back? Commander Eun-ji-song asked. General Yoon's expression was cold. Then we'll be waiting for them. And this time, we'll be the ones with the advantages they don't know about. The meeting ended with everyone understanding the plan, 3 months to position forces. High Commander Vexthul stood in his command center on the Vorthak homeworld, watching disaster reports flood in from across the galaxy. In just 2 weeks, 37 research stations had been destroyed. 43 supply depots were gone. Over 60 patrol bases had simply vanished. How is this possible? He demanded of his intelligence officers. Who is doing this? Unknown, High Commander, replied his tactical advisor. The attacks come without warning. Our bases are destroyed by weapons we don't recognize. The attackers disappear before our response fleets arrive. Space pirates? No, sir. Pirates take supplies and leave. These attackers destroy everything and rescue prisoners. 8,000 human specimens have been freed from our research facilities. Vexthul felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Fear. Humans? The human resistance was eliminated 5 years ago. We thought so, High Commander. But the attack patterns suggest organized military operations. Whoever is doing this knows our technology, our patrol routes, and our security codes. On the other side of the galaxy, Supreme Commander Do-Yeon Shin stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship Retribution. She had taken command of all human forces after General Yoon died leading an assault on a prisoner camp. The rescue had saved 300 humans but cost them their leader. Status report, she ordered. Admiral Jae-sung Kim consulted his tactical display. Phase 1 is complete. All outer defense positions are eliminated. We've rescued every human prisoner we could locate. Estimated freed 7,843 individuals. Casualties? Minimal. 17 humans killed, 43 wounded. Our allies lost 21 individuals total. Do-Yeon nodded grimly. After 5 years of careful planning and preparation, humanity was finally strong enough to fight the Vorthak directly. But the real battle was just beginning. What about the nanite weapons? She asked Dr. Hyun-Woo Jang. Deployed in 237 Vorthak ships across the galaxy, he reported. They're programmed to activate in 6 hours. The Vorthak fleet will lose approximately 40% of its remaining vessels. Colonel Sun-hee Park entered the bridge with an intelligence update. Commander, our spies report that the Vorthak High Command is considering recalling their invasion fleet from Andromeda. How long would that take? 3 months minimum. The journey from Andromeda back to this galaxy takes time even with their fastest ships. Do-Yeon studied the holographic star map showing Vorthak positions. Most of their territory was now undefended. Their homeworld had only a small garrison fleet for protection. Signal all units, she ordered. Begin Phase 2. Target, the Vorthak capital world. Director Kyung-ho Baek had spent 5 years studying Vorthak society and government. He understood their weaknesses better than anyone. Commander, the Vorthak homeworld has 2 billion inhabitants, he reported, but most of them are not military personnel. They're scientists, engineers, and administrators who run the empire. Are they civilians? Do-Yeon asked. Not exactly. Every Vorthak citizen participated in the genocide of 17 species. They all knew about the research stations and prisoner camps. None of them objected. The moral weight of what they were about to do hung heavy in the air. Humanity was preparing to attack a world full of non-combatants. Commander, said Captain Mi-young Lim, we could just destroy their military installations. We don't have to kill everyone. Do-Yeon looked at the faces around her bridge. These people had lost families, friends, and their entire civilization to Vorthak deception. They had every right to seek complete revenge, but they were still human. We give them one chance, she decided. We offer the same choice they gave us 5 years ago. Surrender or die. 2 days later, the human fleet arrived at the Vorthak homeworld. 160 ships dropped out of light speed around the planet. The Vorthak garrison fleet moved to intercept them. It was no contest. Human ships had 5 years of technological development behind them. Stealth systems, advanced weapons, and nanite warheads made them nearly unstoppable. The Vorthak garrison was destroyed in 20 minutes. High Commander Vexthal watched from his command bunker as human ships took orbit around his world. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Open communication with the human fleet, he ordered. Supreme Commander Do-Yeon Shin's image appeared on his screen. She looked exactly like the humans he remembered from 5 years ago. But her eyes were different. They were cold and hard. High Commander Vexthal, she said, I am Do-Yeon Shin of the Human Liberation Fleet. You destroyed our world and massacred our people. Now we're here for you. This is impossible, Vexthal said. Humanity was eliminated. You had no technology, no ships, no weapons. You taught us that we couldn't trust anyone in this galaxy, Do-Yeon replied. So we learned to trust only ourselves. You showed us that the strong prey on the weak, so we became stronger than you. What do you want? The same thing you wanted from us. Complete surrender. Vexthal felt rage building inside him. You are insects. One species among billions. The Vorthak Empire spans this entire galaxy. Your empire is gone, Do-Yeon said calmly. While your fleet is in Andromeda, we've destroyed every military base, every research station, and every supply depot you had. Your ships are breaking down because of nanite infections. Your colonies are defenseless. Our invasion fleet will return. You cannot stand against the full might of the Vorthak Empire. Let them come. We'll be waiting. The communication ended. Vexthal turned to his military advisors. How long until the invasion fleet can return? 3 months, High Commander. But the humans are right about our infrastructure. Without our supply lines and support bases, The fleet won't be able to operate effectively when it returns. Then we destroy the humans now, before they can consolidate their position. With what, sir? Our garrison fleet is gone. Our ground forces are not equipped to fight a space battle. Vexthul realized the terrible truth. The Vorthak Empire had grown so confident in their superiority that they had never prepared for this kind of attack. They had never imagined that a defeated species could return stronger than before. From orbit, Supreme Commander Doyon Shin gave the Vorthak world 1 hour to surrender. When the deadline passed, human ships began targeting military installations on the surface, but they didn't target civilian areas. "Commander, why are we sparing the non-combatants?" asked Admiral Jae-sung Kim. "Because we're not them," Doyon replied. "We're here to end the Vorthak Empire, not to become monsters ourselves." The bombing lasted 6 hours. Every military base, government building, and research facility on the Vorthak homeworld was destroyed. But schools, hospitals, and residential areas were left untouched. High Commander Vexthul found himself trapped in the ruins of his command center, surrounded by human soldiers in advanced combat armor. Colonel Sun Hee Park had led the ground assault team that captured him. "It's over," she told him. "No," Vexthul said desperately. "Our fleet will return. This galaxy belongs to the Vorthak. Your fleet will return to find an empty empire," Sun Hee replied. "Every world you controlled has been liberated. Every species you oppressed has been freed. The Vorthak Empire died the day you decided to betray humanity." Supreme Commander Doyon Shin entered the ruined command center. She looked down at the alien who had orchestrated the destruction of Earth and the near extinction of humanity. "You said we would make excellent specimens," she said. "You were wrong. We made excellent survivors. What happens now?" Vexthul asked. "Now you face the choice you gave us. Surrender completely or be eliminated. If we surrender, what guarantee do we have that you won't massacre us like we did your people?" Doyon considered the question. Around the galaxy, human and allied forces were freeing the last prisoners from Vorthak camps. Billions of beings from 17 different species were being liberated from lives of captivity and experimentation. "The same guarantee you gave us 5 years ago," she said finally. "None." Vexthul closed his eyes, understanding that his species' reign of terror was over. 3 months later, the Vorthak invasion fleet returned from Andromeda to find their empire completely destroyed. Every world they had controlled was now defended by human and allied forces. Their home world was occupied. Their government was dissolved. The fleet commander tried to negotiate. He offered to share technology, to provide resources, to serve as subordinates in a human-led empire. Supreme Commander Doyon Shin's response was broadcast across the galaxy. The Vorthak Empire built its power on deception and betrayal. They convinced species to trust them, then used that trust to destroy them. For 17 species, the Vorthak were the end of civilization. She paused, looking directly at the camera. But humanity learned from that betrayal. We learned not to trust promises from those who have broken them before. We learned that some actions cannot be forgiven, only answered. The Vorthak invasion fleet was given a choice: leave this galaxy forever, or be destroyed. After seeing what had happened to their empire, most chose to leave, but some chose to fight. The final battle lasted 3 days. Human ships, supported by vessels from all the species the Vorthak had oppressed, fought against the remnants of the once mighty Vorthak invasion fleet. It ended with the complete destruction of every Vorthak military vessel that refused to surrender.